My assessment on fractions was two worksheets, and one of them was given, I don't know if you can see this, two of them, they were given two fractions, and they were to decide if they were equivalent or not equivalent. And so they had to shade, like here, they had to shade 2/6 and then 1/3, and they had to decide if they're equivalent or not equivalent. And on my second one was kind of the same thing. We didn't finish because we ran out of time, but they had to create the second fraction that would be equivalent. So I did this worksheet first to kind of get my student familiarized again with fractions, and then we did the second worksheet to decide to make an equivalent fraction. My assessment plan was just to kind of see what my student knew. This week we are starting fractions in their class, and so this was kind of just an idea of what he knows and where he's at with this. And I had about 10 to 15 minutes to assess him. So I didn't have too much time, but we had enough time to get through most of the worksheets. I found that the first worksheet was easier for him to work out because it had both of the fractions written down. And so he wasn't trying to figure out which fraction was equivalent to 2/6. He was already given a fraction, and he had to determine if it was equivalent or not equivalent. For both of my worksheets, I had to kind of review the directions and review kind of the basis of fractions, because like I said, they're going into fractions this week, and so this was kind of an assessment to let me know where he was. And so I expected him to know something about fractions, but I wasn't really sure where he stood. And he got through the first one, the equivalent, not equivalent, very well. And so that wasn't a big deal for him. The second one, we were also kind of crunching on time, so I just circled 3 of them so that he could finish those 3, so I could kind of get a good idea and then let him back into class. And once I kind of explained more about how he was supposed to do the worksheet, it worked out better. But when I just gave him the worksheet, the second one, he was a little confused on what he was supposed to do, and he wasn't really sure about the making it equivalent. He just thought he was making up another fraction. But once we walked through the first one together, he was able to do the other ones on his own. And I think that I got a very good idea of kind of where he was, and he's kind of, he knows stuff about fractions, but he's not completely caught up with some of the other kids in his class. But in my lesson today on fractions, it really kind of cleared up where they were, and I think my assessment really helped me find out where the student was that I used it on. And I think that it would be helpful. Something like this would be helpful to use in a whole group, as a whole group assessment, so that I would be able to find out kind of where my class stood.